What's up, everybody? It's your boy Justin Rodriguez, your favorite lender here at Neighborhood Loans, and I'm like ecstatic to bring forth this guest again because we had an episode a long time ago. I like to rewatch my content and then kind of look at you like, man, I don't think I took advantage as much as I should have with this guest. Super, super excited to kind of bring forth on Milton Alvarez again. This individual has built a business from nothing. He was just like everybody else, working a 9-to-5 job. He was a trainer. And now the last time he grossed over $250,000, all from starting as a gym, just a trainer. Right now, you kind of move forward and to see where he's at. I'm super excited. He's networked with a lot of different individuals, a couple big names, Matt Spalding, Patrick Bet-David. He's also been around, the Tim Tebows, the Eric Thomas, all these individuals who are in the industry. So it's just exciting just to be around you, bro. Thank you so much for coming on again. Super excited. And we left off on a good note. I'm looking forward to where we're at right now and to see where we're at now. So.
And if excuse me if my brain's a little delayed with my response time. Right now I'm running on 45 minutes of sleep, bro.
Oh,
literally, I went to bed at 2 a.m., woke up at 2:40, got in an Uber by 3:15, was at the airport by 3:45, went to TSA, jumped on a plane, landed, changed, showered, ate, and now we're here. Now we're here, bro. So
that's the life of a successful man, I guess, right? That's what they say.
It's definitely a taxing life, bro, but it's definitely very, very exciting, man. And I appreciate you considering a second episode.
For sure.
And I guess you said, bro, you were watching our last episode, and I'll be honest with you, man. Like, the conversation was good.
Yeah.
I think that what was the most cringing aspect of all is I really thought I looked okay in what I was wearing that day with an untucked white button up, and then I had white socks on with black jeans on and a blazer. But that was a really embarrassing clip of me, man. But I got black socks.
There you go.
Today,
no shows. Got the enclaves. It's a lot better apparel,
yeah.
dude. You're looking good, dude.
By the way, congratulations on your firstborn.
Thank you, man. Thank
Yeah.
you. It's been great. It's been great. It's a different experience, you talk about, and I think that's one of the main topics I want to talk about, like a social life outside of entrepreneurship and everything. And I think right now it showed me a different aspect of life of being able to develop your own personal life outside of the business and brand that you're trying to build. Yeah. It's tough. It is super tough. It's a grind. Like you said, 45 minutes of sleep, that's a norm. A lot of this, unfortunately.
That's why it's called Cafecito.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why it's called Cafecito Talks. But I'm excited, man. I'm excited to dive in. I know a lot has changed probably for your life over the last year. So what are the biggest impacts and things that you saw in your life and your business, overall, everything over the last year?
Oh, man, where do I start? I guess we can start with the most superficial things. I learned how to do business the right way versus the improper way. I learned how to, when it came down to the art of sales, I learned how to persuade people into buying and investing into themselves versus convincing people to buy from me. I learned that sales is more of a people thing and more of a how good are you at asking questions versus how good are you trying to sell yourself by speaking about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, business has, by the grace of God, business has been amazing. Many doors have definitely opened to where we are able to serve more people. On a personal standpoint, I've learned on how to, or I'm still learning in the process of how to prioritize my health so that way I'm able to outwork a lot of the competition that I have out there. Because, when you first get into anything that's with your name on an LLC, S Corp, C Corp, or anything that's commission-based or involves your blood, sweat, and tears, when you first jump into something, the only thing that's on your mind is, am I going to make it? How am I going to make it? And how hard do I need to keep going? And if you're not in a relationship, you have all the time, all the energy to be able to throw yourself at a business or at an endeavor. But now, when you have a kid, when you have a family, and you have people that are waiting for you to grow or they're depending on you, it's a little bit harder. So now it's where I'm at with my life. I need to understand, based on what I've seen with my clients, especially the people that are married and eventually I do want to get married, I do want to have kids. They've had to learn on how to prioritize their health in order for them to actually succeed in their business a lot more. So when we first spoke, I kind of walked you through how my journey began as a personal trainer and then how it transitioned into becoming a human performance practitioner and helping entrepreneurs, C-suite executives, business people, corporate people prioritize their health so that way they can actually perform better in their business. So right now I've had to practice what I preach because I've noticed that my health hasn't been the best when it comes down to energy levels and it's taken a massive impact on my business. So I guess it's a bit of a humbling experience where now you're the guy looking in the mirror saying, holy shit, I need to take lessons and lessons out of my own book, apply them into my life so I can actually do better and keep growing at the rate that I want to grow in.
Right. And I think it's fascinating because every time that you look at an entrepreneur's life, it's again, it's glorified, right? Like you look at every person's life that is actually running a successful business and you're like, man, I really want that life, until you kind of dive deeper into what their schedule looks like when it's like 30-minute increments. Every minute of their life is planned and they have to go, and in order for them to be able to do all the things that they want to do in a day, they have to plan every second out. And I find it very interesting as the busier I get, the more I'm like, damn, I kind of miss like just being able to go to Chipotle whenever I want. Like, okay, it's time, go to Chipotle, come back, come to work. And you find it a lot. Your days are very like time oriented. You have to be on time and schedule in order for your day to actually plan out the way that you want to. If not, then you might miss something. Then you didn't follow up with a client that you wanted to follow up with, and you find out that clients end up closing with somebody else or whatever the situation might be. It's very time oriented, and it's something that is very difficult, especially like you said, when you have a family. And I think that's interesting that you work with a lot of different people who are very successful in their industry. And that was the one thing, and I really, really wanted to ask you for all individuals to kind of see all the high-level individuals that you work with. What are the major experiences that you've seen from them that you can kind of share and give us a little bit background on how they and you mold their life and help them develop their life to live a successful, happy life while being successful in their career?
Right. So before I go to that aspect, I want to ask you a question as you're speaking. Mm-hmm. What differences have you noticed in your life from where you're at today with a 4-month-old, right? Yeah. With the 4-month-old versus where you were a year ago when we first started, as far as how you approach your day-to-day?
I think it has caused me to become more disciplined. Like, I think whenever you have a family, I think the most important part that you have to follow is now your days are planned out. You have to understand, maybe one day you're going to stay 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the office, but that means that you can't stay 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in office the whole entire week, because you're missing moments of your life that are just going to blow by away from you, and you don't want to miss it, right? You don't want to miss the times where your daughter's first laughing, first words, first crawling for the first time. Like, you don't want to miss those moments. So for me, I know that it's super important that you don't give up the business. Like, I don't turn off. And people are lying when they tell you that you're successful and you turn off. You have to completely throw your business away. I don't do that. I still continue to run my business and I learn to delegate. But at the same time, I also understand that there has to be a certain point where I'm there physically with my family, and whether that be one day on, one day off, maybe 1 weekend on, 1 weekend off. I figure out days and I pre-plan my week, so that way I have an understanding and I know where I'm going to be and what I can do.
Last question from my end. What kind of adjustments did you have to make when it came down to you and your partner on the level of communication? Because right now, you guys are married, right? Married,
not yet.
Okay, but you guys are living together.
Yeah.
You guys, okay, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys are living together. You guys have a child together now. So what had to change when it came down to the level of communication, like versus you staying at the office 7 days a week till 8 p.m. to close out, everything that you used to do versus where you're at today? Like, what changes did you have to make in order to adjust to now the new kind of life that you're living with a family at home?
The difference is now I think the level of communication is where she has access to pretty much everything. Like my calendar, she's visibility of everything that I'm going to do, and it's just confirming things, right? So I think now the only difference is between my life now and prior to was before I could live a life, be like, oh, I'm going to go here, I'm going to do this whenever I wanted. Like there was a certain level of freedom where I can pick and choose what days I really wanted to turn it on and work till 9 o'clock at night. Now it's not really, I can't pick and choose your day. My day actually has to be structured, and I got to let my partner know. Like I think that is a key part in having a successful relationship, is being able to actually communicate with the partner and figuring out what days are you going to be home so that they know, and not only just saying it but actually doing it. That's another thing that's hard, because you're like, okay, I'll be in the office, I'll be home by 5 o'clock, you end up showing 6:30, 7 o'clock, and you're like, well, I just time passed by and I didn't really know it. But it's creating that certain level of discipline that I know, not only I apply that to every aspect of my life, right? Like I go to the gym every single day. That's a non-negotiable to me. 7 days a week, I try to go to the gym because that's my time, my peace time. That's the time that I develop a lot of ideas. It's things that I do by myself, and that's a non-negotiable for me. right? And so vice versa, I apply to whatever I have in my current life, and the things that I know are non-negotiable, I try to apply it to my family as well. It's like, okay, if I say I'm going to be home at a certain time, I try to apply it to where I'm going to be home at this certain time. I stay till 9 o'clock. Tomorrow I got to be home at a reasonable time.
So exactly that. So it's a matter of adjustments for a lot of my clients. Just like as you mentioned, that's the main reason why I asked, because I wanted to see if you're kind of aligning with that new direction of the way you need to take your life on. Because for my clients, at least, whenever I have like an onboarding conversation with them, whether it's on Zoom or in person, I love whiteboard sessions. So with my clients, all of my clients, especially if you're in state, if you're out of state, I fly out to you and we have whiteboard sessions where it can take anywhere from half an hour to the longest whiteboard session I've had was with a guy in Arizona, and it was like a 6-hour whiteboard session. We broke down his entire business, and we broke down his entire schedule. We created a high-performing schedule. We created routines, and we trimmed the fat in areas that he didn't really need to invest time into, and we created a structured day-to-day so that way he can execute XYZ milestones he was trying to reach. So when we have those onboarding conversations, the biggest thing that we need to get clarity on is what outcome they're trying to reach for their personal life, whether it's in their marriage or the way they are with their kids, their health, whatever the case may be, their business life, whether it's finances, how big you want your business to grow. Are you trying to open up a second store? Are you trying to expand your hierarchy by X amount of agents? Are you trying to increase your cash flow to $1 million cash flow a year versus $500,000? So your spiritual life, are you trying to get closer to God? Or are you trying to fulfill a greater purpose? Are you trying to figure out what your purpose is on an emotional level? Are you trying to just kill ants, aka automatic negative thoughts? And how are you trying to better yourself mentally? So there are different pillars of trying to reach certain outcomes, right? So spirit, mind, body, S&B performance. How are you going to better your spirit? How are you going to better your mind and your emotions? And how are you going to better your physiological body, which then also impacts your business or your career, your livelihood, or whatever helps you make more money. So when we figure out the outcome, it's more of a reverse engineering aspect. But now since we're talking about more business, it's, all right, Joe Schmo, what outcome are you trying to attain? I want to attain $1 million a year cash flow. Right now I'm at XYZ number. Cool, no problem. So if $1 million a year cash flow is your goal, we need to figure out how we can create a successful business to get to that. Pretty straightforward, pretty obvious. So now $100 million a year is the milestone, is the goal. Below that, it's like a little pyramid. Below that is, in order for you to get there, you need to have a successful business. So then you reverse engineer what a successful business looks like in that specific industry or in that specific field that you're trying to look into, right? And then it was a lot of data, a lot of numbers, a lot of vulnerability, and just systems that you need to create or you already have and just implement into creating the formula of a successful business. But in order for you to have a successful business, you need to be a good leader. So now we break that down, we reverse engineer that, and we break down the characteristics of what a good leader is. And once you figure that out, you also need to understand, in order for you to be a good leader, you need to have high amounts of influence. What is influence? Where does influence come from? How do you increase influence? How do you manage that? How do you adapt to that? How do you build those characteristics? Fantastic. Once you understand what influence is, you need to understand that there's a foundational thing that every single human being needs. Whether you're in business for yourself, whether you're an entrepreneur or an intrapreneur, man, woman, whatever walk of life that you may be in. The most foundational thing above all things is energy. If you don't have energy, you won't have influence. If you don't have influence, you won't be a good leader. If you're not a good leader, you won't have a successful business. If you don't have a successful business, the outcome that you're trying to reach will not be attainable. So now, the energy aspect, that's where I come in. That's where people hire me. How can we increase your spiritual energy? Now, let's just say you don't believe in a God. Cool, not a problem. I'm not going to, drive my belief system down your throat. Fine, you don't believe in God? Great. So how can we increase your spiritual energy? Let's increase the idea of what your purpose is. What is the purpose behind you trying to reach this X milestone? Because if you have no purpose behind reaching $1 million cash flow a year, it's going to be extremely hard. We all need a purpose on why we're trying to reach it. So that's when we reverse engineer and we whiteboard everything that's going on in your thoughts to attach a purpose to that goal. So we increase spiritual energy that way. And if you do believe, how can we get you closer to God? Cool. Now the emotional and mental aspect, how do we increase energy there? By killing those negative thoughts and by rewiring your brain. Neuroplasticity is one of the coolest things that I found maybe about 6-7 years ago. And the more I studied it, the more my clients have been able to implement it. And the more my friends who are actually in those fields have been able to help my clients kind of get out of their headspaces and rewire and recondition their identities from their subconscious out. So once we figure out a system or formula to increase energy there. Now we go on to the most foundational, basic, attainable, I guess you can say the easiest actionable steps you can take by taking care of your physical body, increasing energy there. And that involves hormones, that involves brain health, cellular energy, and that comes from the food, from the supplementation, that comes from the movements that you do, from your sleeping patterns, your sleep hygiene, and all of that is extracted from lab work, DNA testing, and all these blood works that we do for my clients, so that way we're able to give them the right formulas, so that way they're consistently at a high-performing peak. But again, everything is founded by energy. If you want to be successful in anything that you do, you need to understand that you need to have high levels of energy in those three aspects: spiritual, mental, emotional, and the physical aspect. And you don't believe in the first two, at least focus on the physical aspect. Because once you feel better, you start doing better. And when you start doing better, the other two, the spiritual and the mental, emotional, also start being impacted. So if I would say, if you can take anything away from this and you're not a big fan of the first two, start by taking care of your physical health. Go get some blood work done. Know where your hormones are at. A lot of times when guys aren't sleeping, when guys are heavily stimulated, when guys are highly stressed out, they're eating like crap, they're not really moving much, as men, their testosterone levels drop. And testosterone plays a massive role in the way we feel, the way we think, the way we process. Brain fog, low motivation for life, low sex drive, hard time getting an erection, hard time finishing, hard time even getting up. And that messes with your confidence. And if your confidence levels are low as a man in your private life, those are going to reflect also in your business life. Hormones. If your brain as an organ is in an environment of high inflammation or high stress, you're not going to be able to process, you're not going to be able to think, you're not going to be able to function, and your emotions are going to be like a roller coaster. So taking care of your brain health and your hormone health play a massive role. And then as well, obviously the basic foundational fundamental food is energy, and if you're putting crappy ass food into your body, physiologically your body's not going to respond to you. Right? So there's a formula for every single possible thing that you can do to increase your energy, so that way you can actually reach peak performance in anything that you're trying to do, especially when it comes down to business. And I think I just went on a rant on that, bro.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
I think, it all makes sense because it all ties together, right? But I think the main thing that, first off, high stimulus, like, right, that's something that I wouldn't know on how that could affect my life, because honestly, at the end of the day, like you said, good energy levels and influence. Yeah. You spoke about influence, and yes, that's super important. I think that's something that the more that I watch individuals who have a high level of success, seeing the amount of influence that they have on people, getting a room together, getting thousands of people in a room to listen to them speak fascinates me. Yeah. And I bring up a lot of different leaders that we have had in history, right? And you kind of look at it, and it's super, super cool to me to see that people are able to bring other individuals together simply off the words that they're speaking about. Do you break down each client like, okay, the certain level of influence comes from, is it verbiage? Is it how do you get some sort of influence on people to become a successful entrepreneur and get people to follow you? Because at the same time, like, you're just speaking. Honesty for me is like, I just speak to people and see and try and enlighten positivity, right? Yeah. And that brings some sort of influence. But is there how deep does it get when it comes to getting people to be influenced on your decisions? And
bro, I believe that it can be very superficial to the point where if I look like crap, I'm gonna feel like shit. And if I feel like shit, I'm gonna present like shit. I'm gonna talk like shit, and I'm gonna move around like shit. Right. Or we can go as deep as everything that you just mentioned about, how do people of influence have the verbiage, have the lingo, the way they speak, the way they move, that when they move and speak, people are like, I can feel that. That's deep. Yeah. Well, let's start there. I said we need to increase energy in three areas, right? Your spiritual aspect, mental, emotional, and your physical energy, right? Spiritual aspect, increase energy. Let's start with I believe in God. Great. When you are a man or woman of prayer and you believe in a higher power, you become a man and woman of discernment. The closer you get to God, the more you are filled with God. And the more you are filled with God, the more tangible of God's presence in your life can be felt by the external people. One of my biggest prayers, bro, is every morning is, good morning, Holy Spirit. Fill me up. Let it be less of me and more of you, that every time I speak, my words can pierce people's hearts. And every time I walk into a room, people may feel your presence, not mine. And the closer you get to God, the more people feel different about you. Like, something about you, something about that guy just feels very different. He has something, and I don't know what it is, but he has something that people want to just gravitate towards you. That's increasing energy spiritually when it comes down to the God aspect. Or let's say you don't believe in God, but you believe and you're convicted on what you're doing, and that you believe that has a bigger purpose. When you have high conviction on doing what you're doing, speaking what you're speaking on, you really believe that truth, and that's your truth, that's your reality, people are going to feel the conviction. So that increases your spiritual energy. Now, mental, emotional energy. If you're on stage in front of thousands of people, and you're like, yeah, I feel like shit. I can't think properly. Like last night was bad. I got into a fight with my wife. Like you have all these negative thoughts. Like I probably don't look good in this suit. I probably like the way I enunciate words sounds awful. I can't. Bro, I forgot my speech. I messed up here. Bro, when you have all those thoughts running into your mind, you're not going to be able to concentrate on the message that you're bringing forth. And people feel that energy. That's such a tangible force that we have as human beings. We are made of energy. So when you mentally and emotionally, you're not correct, or you're not aligned, or you're not high vibrations. That's the easiest way I can describe for a lot of people to actually understand what I'm talking about, or high frequencies. People are going to feel that. So right. if you're in low vibration, which I don't like using that reference, but people understand that when you're in low vibration, it's really hard for you to get a message across, even though you are speaking facts.
Right.
Now, to the most superficial aspect. If you're eating crappy food that doesn't give you good energy, if you're sleeping like shit, if your hormones are shit, if your mental health is shit physiologically, if your body posture is shit, if you generally have illnesses or conditions, your body cannot give energy. And have you ever spoken to a depressed person in the past, or someone who's, let's say, maybe not depressed, but like someone who just is out? Someone lost a parent, someone got their heart, but one of the homies right. got their heart broken, bro.
I want to hear about depressed. Do you have a lot of individuals who are depressed?
Yeah, and some of them are probably the wealthiest people that I've worked with so far.
Interesting, yeah.
Right, so like one of the homies, bro, from back in the day. You guys are chilling, and then you find out that his girlfriend cheated on him or some shit, and he starts listening to all these corridos or whatever the hell. He starts drinking hard as shit, like that. Those homies. And although you're chilling with them, you can feel the vibes. You just feel like, damn, bro, like you're really just killing the vibe.
For real.
But by just looking at them from afar, when you walk into the room and you see them, they're slouched over, their chest is being caved in, their arms are crossed, so they're blocking off the world, their chin is down, their stare is down, they're very monotone. So automatically, when you're doing that on a physiological level, their energy is very, very low. But when you're speaking with a high chest, shoulders back, head up, chin up nice and high, you're making direct eye contact, you're speaking with a high pitch or a strong tone, and you're bringing the message forward, people feel that energy.
Right.
So it's a formula. It's genuinely a formula, bro. So when I say energy comes from those three aspects, that's how people gain that influence. On top of building the skill and being confident of knowing how to speak to people. Public speaking is one of the most underrated skills that people don't look into.
I agree.
One of the most underrated skills people should generally start looking at. I don't care what you do in life. You should learn how to speak in front of crowds. You should learn how to enunciate. You should learn how to carry a conversation. You should learn the power of body language, power of your hands, the power of throwing jokes here and there, and understand what kind of speaker you are. Because not everyone can be a serious speaker. Not everyone can be a jokester. Not everyone can be an educator. Not everyone can be the storyteller. Everyone has their own niche on how to speak. But the moment you find out what your niche is the moment that you're going to be able to tap into it more, sharpen that skill, and now when you go on stage, you go on a show, you're able to speak with a lot more power because you're confident in your style of speaking.
Right.
So it's a formula of those three on top of building the skill of public speaking, and that's what's going to give you that. Yo, who the fuck is this guy? This guy has grown so much that I want to listen to this guy more.
Right.
That's all it is, bro.
And there's a certain level of confidence that has to be built over time. Like I think that as of lately, I mean, for me, the more that I have grown, that has come through time and experience and being able to speak in front of individuals when at a certain point in time, you kind of like when you sit in a room with somebody that, like you said, has power, that certain level of, it's like you said, energy. It's weird. You sit in a room full of these people who are very successful. It's intimidating. Like when I first got into the business, right, like you kind of sit alongside with individuals who are very successful, and it almost feels like you're beneath them. But it gets to a certain point where you have to have that certain level of confidence, like you said, and having that energy and confidence to be able to walk into a room and be like, okay, I belong in this room. Yeah. And now you own it. Now your chest is up. Now you're able to say stuff like that. But I want to dive deep because obviously the individuals that you have been with are very successful entrepreneurs, and I want to kind of go into purpose. How do you develop goals when you're already a certain level of success, right? Eric Thomas speaks about having that dog in you. Some people got that dog. Some people got that level of energy that gets you past that threshold, right, that continues to push you. But now that you've met with a lot of high-level individuals, as you spoke about, they're depressed, right? And you would think that their purpose or whatever that's driving them would push them through that. But a lot of times they don't really have a purpose, because you beat a threshold. You're on top of the mountain, right? You at what point, what else do you want? Like, you got the car that you want, you got the family that you want, everything that you dreamed of, you have it. Why do you keep going? What drives you, and how do you take that purpose out and create goals based on the purpose that they're looking for to continue to work?
Oh, that's a deep. Okay. I'm trying to figure out a way how to word this without mentioning industries or names. Okay. So mostly every single one of my clients that I work with, they have a level of conviction to get there. And what there is could be anything. It could be, I don't know, $1 million saved up in their savings account. It could be owning a bunch of land. It could be retiring their entire family. It could be, I don't know, contributing to a nonprofit and helping the homeless people out. It could be buying the most expensive car in the world and driving past their ex-girlfriend's house and saying, you know, ha ha ha, that kind of shit, right? It could be any of those. But everyone has a level of conviction why they do what they do. But then what ends up happening is they don't look past a lot of people who get depressed. The reason they're depressed is because they're bored of what they're doing. The standards that they have for their lives aren't meeting the standard that they have, or the vision that they have for themselves. Their lives isn't aligning with that standard, if that makes sense. So what ends up happening is a lot of people are in the game of creating short-term goals. All right, I'm going to get the Ferrari. Okay, done. What's next? Well, I don't know. I just planned up to the Ferrari. All right, I'm going to make $100,000 a year. Okay, cool. What's next? I don't know what's next. I'm stuck here. So now they're stuck. You can be in your mid-20s, late 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. And if you're not playing for long-term and you're only doing short-term small goals that are dictated and navigated by external sources, whether it's people from your past, people from your present, whether it's just based on other people's opinions and belief systems on you, then it's going to be extremely hard for you to actually have a fulfilled life, because you're not doing it for, I guess you could say, as you said, a greater purpose. So now we need to ask yourself, like, what is a greater purpose? I believe that there's a big difference between your life's work and the jobs that we all have. What you do, what I do, what they do, what she does. We all have a vehicle that generates money, so that way we can live our day-to-day lives, so that we can pay bills, so we can eat, all that stuff that we do now as human beings. Because we live in a society, we have to pay bills in order to exist and survive, right? But at a certain point, you come to realize, some people realize it early on, some people realize it later on in their lives, right? But that's based off of what environments you put yourself in, what's your circle, your network that you plug yourself into. Because obviously you plug yourself into the right circle, you're gonna figure out your reason behind your existence a lot sooner than you're just kind of figuring your life out on your own and not really caring about what's next. You just focus on making the money. Because at some point you have to realize, like, damn, is this really it? Me closing deals, me flying and training people, me working here, me doing this, me whatever the case may be. I don't care how much money you're making. At some point, you're like, all right, is this it?
All right, this is my life.
You have 10 Ferraris, you have 2 Lamborghinis, you have multiple mansions, you have a lot of land. Cool, what's next? And as far as the next, it's not so much of the materialistic thing. It's like, okay, well, nothing's fulfilling me. That's why you see a lot of these rich folks, not just buying a shit ton of land, a shit ton of properties, cars, experiences. For a lot of these guys, women and whatever, exposure and clout. They're doing it because they cannot find something to fill the void that they have inside of them that will bring them genuine spiritual internal fulfillment. And what brings you the fulfillment is understanding what your life's work is. How do you discover your life's work? I believe that God has placed a gift in our lives that's dummy proof. The gift that God has placed in our lives that's dummy proof is in a place that we can't lose it, but a lot of us spend a lot of time looking for it in the wrong places, in women and experiences and cars and luxury and money and whatever the case may be. Now, I am not saying money's bad. I'm definitely not saying that whatsoever.
Of course.
But people are trying to look for their gift in the wrong areas, when in reality, as Star Warsy as it sounds, God placed the gift, or the gift that we all have as individuals, in a place that we won't lose it, and that's literally inside of us. So that's why it literally takes a lot of internal work and isolation with God to understand, okay, God, what is my calling? What is my gift? Because at the end of the day, if you're trying to figure out what your life's work is, you need to understand what your gift is. When you understand what your gift is and what the gift is, you're going to understand that your gift will make room for you. A lot of times what we focus on as men and women is where's the money versus where's my gift and what's my gift. The money will eventually be a linear thing. When you actually go after your gift, that's going to make a lot of room for you and open a lot more doors for you. But now you're doing it with a greater sense of purpose and a greater sense of fulfillment, because that's actually what you're called to do. And when we figure out how we're called or what we're called to do in this world along the lines of serving the world, because that's what we're here to do, bro. We're here to serve the world. We're here to serve each other. We're here to serve and build the kingdom of God. Now, is the kingdom of God a physical place? No, it's a spiritual aspect, but we're here to build. And one of the biggest things, one of the biggest reasons why a lot of people who are chasing after the wrong things, or not chasing the wrong thing, but not focusing on the right goal, is because they don't have a sense of what their gift is. And a lot of people are going to fight me on that. A lot of people aren't going to agree with me on that. But the moment people figure out, okay, this is why I'm here. This is the gift that God has given me. I'm going to use these gifts to serve. I'm going to use these gifts to give back. I'm going to use these gifts to help people. There's a sense of fulfillment.
Right.
And I have a sense of direction on where I'm headed next. And now that money that you have, you're able to invest it into the areas that that gift has opened up for you. And now you're able to contribute to a greater cause, and you're actually making an impact in the world.
Right.
Success is making impact. Success isn't the amount of money you have, the amount of cars that you have, the amount of land that you have. Success is the amount of impact that you're able to make in other people's lives, which then causes dominoes effects to other people's lives.
Yeah, and I agree. I think that the most fulfillment that you can get is when you could look at another individual that you might have helped achieve anything that they wanted to achieve in life, and you see how happy they get, right? Like, and to your point, right, the only way that I can align it and allow people who are watching to kind of see in my perspective is, in real estate, right? Like, when you help someone buy a house, you see them smile, right? You see them how happy they are to achieve what they considered is the American dream, right? And that's fulfilling, right? And I found that fulfillment in the beginning of my career. But to your point, I don't think that this is my life's purpose, right? The more individuals you meet, like and not even meet, bro. Just, and I think this is fascinating. I think everybody should really take the moment to kind of hear this. Everybody should take the time to hear high-level individuals, because in my eyes, whenever I listen to someone speak that is a high-level individual, the first thing I think of is like, man, they're very polished. I love the way they speak, but I see myself being able to push some level of influence on other people and being able to speak in that. And I envision myself doing that, right? So when you, like you said, surround yourself, they're not a part of my network, but if you manifest that, now you're going to be around those type of individuals, because you're surrounding yourself about people who are getting you to that level that you want to be at. So the reason why I watch these individuals every single day is to increase, number one, to motivate myself. I don't think you need motivation in your life, but you need to have discipline over motivation, because motivation will only take you so far. But if you surround yourself that on a daily basis, for me, it helped me kind of push myself and figure out what do I think my life purpose is. I know at a very young age, for me, I was like, okay, I really want to work hard, not only for myself, but 100% for my family. Like, I knew that very early, and I was taught that because I saw my parents give everything up for me. And I know that in our community, that's something that was very, very important for us, is we want our kids to live a better life than what we did. So for me, it was like, okay, my fulfillment is like giving back to my family and continue to grow the family tree that my parents left and make it grow even bigger. So for me, that was a portion of my fulfillment. Like, fulfilling me is helping my family grow. But there's another path in my life that I don't know. I genuinely don't know what I want next. And I do think that I have done a lot of successful things in the career path that I'm doing right now, but I do think and foresee a brighter future within the realm that I'm in, is because I do see a lot of people who have that certain level of influence, and I look up to them. And I'm like, okay, I think I can help other individuals grow and spark that interest, because if I see this person, they're sparking an interest in me, I think I can do that for other individuals that maybe it's in my circle, maybe it's in my company, maybe it's or maybe it's not anybody that doesn't even know me. They just want to watch the podcast or see me in person and meet, just so that way they can get motivation to hit the goals that they want to do. And that's the fulfillment that I do enjoy see right now, and that can change,
Yeah.
right? And it's interesting to see different levels of life and how your self-level fulfillment could change every chapter of life. So it's interesting for me to see. And in the career path that you in, is that the fulfillment that you get is helping clients, or have you found your fulfillment? Do you know where you're at in your life?
I know that, well, on a general broad standpoint, I know we're called to serve automatically. We're called to serve. There's no way in hell, bro, that you came out of dust and you were born onto this random planet in the middle of a random universe, in the midst of a random galaxies amongst other galaxies, in the midst of a random moment in this thing that we call time within eternity, just to be built into a society, be taught certain regulations and certain conditionings, grow up, get your heart broken a couple times, become a fuckboy for a couple years, get a job, quit that job, go to school. After you go to school, get a better job, find the girl, be scared, be traumatized to actually be in love with that girl, end up having a kid, scared as shit on how you're going to raise that child, hoping that you're doing the right thing to raise the child, hoping that you're in the right career, hoping that you have the right people in your corner, just to grow older, see your kid go through the exact same thing, and you're trying to influence them to become a better person. And then in the early ages, they're idolizing you because they're young and you're superhero dad.
Yeah.
And then as they get older, now they start demonizing you because now you're trying to ruin their lives and trying to run their lives. And then when you're old and you're already at late age and they're finally in their late 20s, early 30s, now they start humanizing you because they realize, like, shit, dad, mom are right. So they idolize you as kids, enjoy that part. Then they're going to start demonizing you in preteens, teens, and late teens. And then once they get to a certain age when they have adult responsibilities, they're going to start humanizing you and realize, like, damn, mom and dad were actually right. Yeah. Then it's just for one day for you to just leave a trust, leave a couple properties behind and say, all right, my time here is done on this physical earth, and then die. There's no way in hell, bro. I really don't believe that sells me the dream of wanting to even exist. Like, I would not, if I was in this white space of broadness and someone said, all right, you have the option of staying here, or you have the option of going to this physical realm called Earth, life, and then being planted on a planet where you're going to experience a shit ton of pain, you're going to experience heartbreak, you're going to be broke, you're going to cry, you're going to bleed, and you're going to grow old, and then you're going to get sick, and then eventually you're going to die again, then you're going to return here. Do you want to go there, or you want to just stay here with absolutely no purpose, no reason? Bro, I mean, I don't know. I don't know about you guys, but to me, that's not not the dream to me.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I really do believe that every single piece of creation points to a creator. And the creator, you can call it source. We come from a source. And since we are extracted from source, we are little sources. And since we have our identities, since our identities come from source, we have that source in us. Does that make sense? So we come from God.
Right. And
so we are extracted from God. So we have God in us. And since we have some form of omnipresence in us, there's no way in hell that we were just born just to exist and not do something with the existence and the power that we have that was given to us by source or by God. So knowing that for myself, it's okay, cool, I'm here to serve. But now how am I here to serve? Early on, when I gave my life to Christ, because I am a believer, I gave my life to Christ in 2011, one of the biggest prayers was, God, help me serve people at the most ultimate level so that way I can push them back to you. Not religion, bro, but just help me help people believe that there's an actual God that exists. Not a religion, a God. So that way we can understand and we have some form of hope for our lives, and that when we're down and out, we get our hearts broken, we're struggling financially, we're struggling mentally, emotionally, or we're struggling with our identities, we don't feel like we're alone, and we don't feel like we have to face life by ourselves. When in reality, there's hope that there's a God listening to us, guiding our steps. And so far, with what I do for a living, it's helping people live healthier lives, longer lives, helping people get out of physiological pain, helping people get out of psychological pain, helping people feel more energized, helping men become better men, helping men and women become better parents, helping men and women have better relationships, and helping people just become better human beings so they can extract that good energy into the world and help other people up along their journey of figuring out who the hell they are. So if I were to say, yes, I know exactly what I'm doing, I can't say that because today leaving this building, I could die, and then, all right, cool. Would I feel like I fulfilled my life? No. After I leave here, something very life, like a big trauma could happen in my life where my life completely takes a complete, 180. I don't know where God's trying to take me. Right now, it's one of those, I'm riding the waves, but along the way, wherever the wave is taking me, I'm doing what I can to make sure that I'm using every gift, every talent, every piece of energy that I have, including only sleeping 45 minutes a night. So that way, I'm able to glorify God, and I'm able to fulfill my role here on earth as a man. So that way, whenever I do die, and if the idea of facing God face to face, and God saying to me, hey, good job, you did your job, or versus, no, bro, you didn't do what you were called to do. I would like to think that I die empty, and I die giving everything that I possibly have as a human being.
And I love that. And I think that, like you kind of spoke about, whenever people don't have that center, whether it be God, it could be, like you said, any religion, but when they don't have that centerpiece in their life, they turn to other things that will fulfill them when they do feel down, right?
Purpose,
Whether it be alcohol, whether it be sex, partying, drugs, anything, right? And that, for me, the way that I look at it is, and I think all individuals do have to go to that turning point at some point in their life in order for them to understand, where is these feelings coming from. And the best quote that I can use for that was it was a quote from Tony Robbins. I love this quote because it's the circle of life. I like to hear it in the mornings whenever I do work out. He says, good times lead to weak people turn to bad times lead to strong people lead to good times. And it signifies like, okay, every aspect of life, you're going to go through some good times, but usually that makes you undisciplined because you're going through good times. You're making the money. Everything's going good. Everything in life is just on top of the world, but then you turn weak. You're not doing the things that you were doing before. Your routine isn't on. You're not sleeping for 45 minutes because you're doing all the things you need to do to continue the good times, but now you become weak. Weak people turn to bad times, and it's a full circle that happens day in and day out. And sometimes that leads you to the light at the end of the road, which could lead to whether it be God or certain level of purpose. So that could turn to when you feel alone, because I think success leads to loneliness. Like I do think, I think there's going to be a point in time when you reach a certain level of success where you might feel lonely, because honestly, at the end of the day, you're going to chase a never ending cycle of where you want to be. Maybe you want another Ferrari, but then you get in, and like you said, where is my end result? And where's my goal? What goals are going to be fulfilling enough to where, I feel great about myself? And it's exactly what you're talking about. That's why entrepreneurs at a certain point, they lead to a certain level of loneliness. And that's why you have a lot of clients, right? So let's speak about that on a little bit, on a basis, is just kind of understanding the psychological part about that. Like as an entrepreneur, right? There's a lot of different things that I think in our industry, right? I can only speak about real estate because I know it. Like, for example, divorce. In our industry, why does it happen so often? And I think as entrepreneurs as well, it's an unconventional job, right? You're networking, you're drinking alongside with people, you're out all the time, you're on the phone meeting face to face with a bunch of different individuals on a daily basis. Like that's our lives and that's our job. And that's like any entrepreneur, you have to network in order for you to be able to grow your business. But how do you maintain that certain level of success while maintaining a relationship in any job, right? Because I know you may probably have a lot of clients with struggling marriages, with struggling families. How do you have a relationship with your kids? I think I want to first dive deep into the marriage part and relationships, and then kind of have an understanding on the family aspect with kids and everything, all while running a successful business.
All right. Well, it's funny because we actually spoke about this in the podcast on Wednesday, how to manage, someone asked how to balance out your marriage, your relationships alongside your business. So I'm going to speak on two behalves. I'm going to speak on what I've seen with my clients and their marriages, and I'm going to speak hypothetically on what I would assume it would be since I'm not married yet.
Right.
One day, though. One day I'll be in that position. One day, bro. One day. Hopefully I'll
I need more friends with babies, too. So
hopefully, I start popping out. I first got to find somebody who's willing to procreate with me, bro. Someone who's willing to lay with me.
There you go, man.
So, all right. Let's first speak hypothetical. So that's the easiest part. Hypothetically, someone asked on Wednesday, how do you balance out marriage and versus your business? And Matt answered this question, but him and I are very aligned when it comes down to that belief, which is I'm not a fan of the word balance. A lot of friends of mine and a lot of people that I know, they say, Milton, you need to learn how to balance your life. Actually, Cecily here, I think a couple days ago, she was like, so outside of building your business, what do you like to do? And bro, I don't have an answer. Like I generally did not have an answer. It wasn't one of those egotistical like I'm just working because I'm a man. No, I really had no idea how to answer that question. I'm like, no, I'm literally just building. I either go network. That's fun, right? I go network and shake hands. I'm either on my laptop, building a software that I'm currently working on right now. Bringing the fulfillment, which is training clients in person or whiteboard sessions. So fulfillment is massage, physical therapy, training people, whiteboard sessions, meal prepping with clients, or Zoom calls. Those are all fulfillments within my business. But if I'm not doing that, I'm working on the business, which is the admin work, the software work, the going out, shaking hands work, traveling to other states and meeting, training other coaches, or training gyms, or training other entrepreneurs on how to do what I do. That's literally my life right now. And I think that's why for me, I'm speaking of hypothetical, it's been hard to sustain a relationship because the last two relationships that I've been in, it wasn't easy for them to know or to be in a relationship with someone who's rarely available even for himself. So when I would say, hey, I'll text you at 5 p.m. and then I don't text you till about 10 p.m. Yeah, that's bad. I get how a woman's mind can work sometimes, and that could lead to a million different other thoughts. And when you have poor communication skills sometimes because you're so busy and overwhelmed, you just decide not to communicate. Like, oh, she'll get it, when in reality they're not getting it, and then that leads to the relationship ending. So I understand. So that's why I've forced myself for a couple years now to completely stay single, to avoid hurting the woman, not by cheating or being an asshole, but just completely not being fully emotionally present or mentally present. And recently I'm opening myself up to the idea of it, scary as shit, because I don't want it to lead to something and then eventually I'm start getting distracted again. So I'm figuring out how to prioritize my life. So now leading into the hypotheticals, it's not so much about balance. I'm not a fan of balance. Like, bro, if you're broke, you don't have time for balance. You got to fucking work your ass off.
I agree.
I'm sorry. I don't like men who play the victim role. I don't like people who blame other people for their lack of success, lack of financial stability. Like, bro, you are in control. Everything that has happened to you, everything that's going on in your life, everything that you have or don't have is literally your fault. You have the power to change your outcome on a daily basis by the habits you commit to. If you're not making shit money, that's your fucking fault. Find a new skill, build your skills, find new opportunities for yourself. So I'm not a fan of that. So that's why when people say, oh, bro, you got to balance. No, fuck you. You got to actually work harder.
I agree.
You don't have fucking time for balance.
I agree.
But you have to learn how to prioritize. So if I were to base it off of a hypothetical, it'd be prioritizing God first. Because you chase God, you're automatically chasing purpose. So now, boom, chase God, chase purpose, it's chase business, and then all else comes afterwards. It doesn't mean that you're not prioritizing the woman that you're with in your marriage. It just means that you're a man chasing God who then is also chasing purpose. And a woman will follow a man who's chasing his purpose versus a man who's chasing nothing. Right. You will never, and I say this very respectfully, you will never lose women chasing purpose, but you will always lose purpose chasing women. A lot of men use the word money. I use the word purpose. You chase God, you chase purpose, the right woman will come into your life and align herself with what you have going on. It doesn't mean that you're negating her walk with God or her purpose in life. It just means that what she has and what you have can align, and you guys can walk two individual lives, but at the same time walk together. So chase God, chase purpose, and everything else comes afterwards, including your business, right? Chase God, purpose, business, and then woman. And then a woman, to me, from what I've seen, women respect that versus a man who's not really doing much, and it's all about her. It's all about her. It's all about her, and you're smothering her. You're smothering because you have no direction. You have no identity. You have nothing to look after. So a woman, it's really hard for a woman to actually listen or to step into her feminine essence or her feminine energy when the man isn't fully established in his masculine energy by chasing God, chasing purpose, chasing his business.
Right.
Now, from what I've seen in my clients' lives, it's pretty well mimicked of what I just mentioned. Their number one thing is, bro, I'm going to put God first. God's number one in my life, which then that ties into their calling, their purpose, their gift, whatever they want to call it. and then it's my business, because my business is what's going to help me step into my identity, which is the provider and the protector. My business is helping me provide for my family and helping me protect my family from any financial loss and helping me create a life for them, a canopy of protection over their lives, so that way they can continue living their lives the way they're supposed to live their lives. And obviously the second thing out of that pocket is communication that I've seen. When my clients are in business, they focus on their purpose and they focus on building a massive amount of communication with their partner, where they build a system that works for them specifically on how to communicate, how to pivot around issues that they face in last minute changes in business, whatever the case may be. So not so much on how to balance, but how do you prioritize? And if that's why a lot of entrepreneurs that I work with are like, bro, if you can find a woman who's in your same industry or who's in an industry that complements what you do, you guys can go into business together.
Yeah.
And now you guys are running a business. Now you guys are life partners and you guys are business partners.
Yeah.
So now that creates other problems on like, all right, cool. How do we separate business and pleasure? But if you can't find it, find a woman who has an extreme amount of understanding, grace, and has great communication skills. Because if you guys don't have good communication skills, if you guys lack grace, and if you as a man lack direction and lack vision of what you're trying to attain, what you're trying to reach, it's going to be extremely hard for you to hold a relationship down because the relationship is going to wither away. So hypothetical, what I mentioned, and how I seen my clients encounter their marriages, what I just mentioned now.
No, I agree. I think you hit the nail on the head, because I think for me, the way that I look, exactly what you're speaking about is in my relation. I can only relate it back to my relationship, my partner, right? I think in my eyes, she actually worked for our company for a period of time, so she understood the business. She and now she's not working right now because she's at home taking care of the baby. But so she understood a portion of my business, understanding the networking part. But I also understand the other aspect of trying to build a business and networking and doing the things you do, and having a woman by your side that doesn't understand that, because it's tough. Like imagine telling a girl that doesn't understand your business, but you're meeting one-on-one at a coffee shop with a girl, like, you know, and you're going to a networking event, you're drinking, like, is it a networking event, is it a party, right? Like, and I understand both aspects of it, and I think that's what's difficult when you're trying to build a business and a relationship, and I think that's why a lot of people actually take advantage of the fact of our business, and I think that's why a lot of relationships fail, because obviously lack of communication, or maybe they do actually do that gives a negative connotation to the entrepreneurship life, because maybe they are actually doing the things that their man or women are suspecting of doing. But I do think, and I find it interesting, that everything in life is cliche in my eyes. Like, I think a lot of the advice that we give, and a lot of advice that you can kind of pick up from other people who are doing the things that you want to do, we kind of know a general idea of what we have to do in order to maintain a relationship.
But we don't do it.
Exactly. And that's the interesting part about life, is like a lot of things are super cliche, super easy to kind of understand, but it's like, okay, well, again, you don't have the foundation, right? You're not following the right purpose, maybe you're not following God, maybe you're not following the things that you should be. And for that reason is that you don't do the cliche things. And when you look at, on a spiritual level, when you look at what God is and what religion truly is, they're basic foundational principles that it's not hard to follow. And we all know what they're telling us to do. They're not telling you to do anything that, when you read the Bible, when you read anything that you're following, a lot of these religions, they have a foundation it's cliche. And you're like, okay, well, just live a purposeful life, live a positive life, and leave an impact on people. Like, if you can kind of give like a rundown on what the Bible or any superficial religion or anything talks about, it's about living a purposeful life and being positive, giving back to the community, and actually trying to bring forth some sort of fulfillment in your life, because it's a tough life to live, you know. But I think the hard part for me, right, in my life is having faith in regards to like building some sort of financial, foundation, but having faith in the future and understanding like, okay, this is where I'm at right now. Okay. And I have faith that my path is going to play out the way that it needs to play out, because right now I live in the right now every single day. And I think every day I wake up, it creates some sort of like an uncomfort level, I guess, on a daily basis, because I do always want more, like you said, and you're always trying to push for more, and having faith that all the things are going to line up the way that I want it to be. Do you, as an entrepreneur yourself, do you feel that pressure and anxiety every single day? Like, okay, I want to be, I want to make $500,000, right? Like, and do you feel that pressure? Do you apply that pressure to yourself? And do you see other people have that pressure of like, okay, and having faith that you're going to be able to do it?
Yes and no. And let me explain what I mean by that. Yes, because I'm grateful for where I'm at, but I'm not satisfied with what I've been able to accomplish. And the reason being for that, again, goes back to knowing where we come from and who we come from. Because when you understand where you come from and from who you come from, you understand that with what you're doing right now, let's just say right now you're like at the peak of your business. You're like, dude, I'm like killing it. Like top one in my office, top one in the Midwest, top one in my entire industry, worldwide. And although in your mind you're like, dude, I'm 1%, you're still far from what God actually has for you. There's still so much more that you can do, right? There's still so much more impact that you can create. And by impact, it literally just mean teaching people in your industry on how to do what you do so you can help them generate X amount of income that they want to generate so they can help their families. Right. And then having them help them, right? So I have a conviction. I'm satisfied. I'm happy. I'm grateful where I'm at, but I'm not satisfied with where I'm at because I don't feel like I'm utilizing everything that God has given me to utilize up to this point. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of business people, a lot of people who are trying to make money for themselves, they say, oh yeah, I'm fully invested and I read 14 books a month and I do cold plunges in the morning and I do my morning routines and I do my kumbayas twice a day. Like that's all, it's cool. That's cool. It sounds nice on a podcast and it sounds nice on paper and it sounds nice in their books, but the likelihood of everyone doing that 7 days a week is bullshit. Yeah. Bro, I'm not accomplishing what I want to accomplish yet because I have my days that I'm fucking lazy as shit. Yeah. Like, I don't want to do shit sometimes. Yeah. Like, bro, like, fuck this. I just want to go back to a 9 to 5 and I'm done. Right. But then you're like, no, okay, fine. Let's keep going. Right? So whenever you have those moments, I give myself 24-hour periods. I give myself a 24-hour period to loathe, to grieve, to feel like shit, to be in my shit, to play the victim, to isolate myself. But in the midst of that, I am like, all right, God, help me get out of this mindset. Help me get out of this mindset because this is not going to go down the right path. And after 24 hours, all right, cool. I'm back on my high horse, or I'm back on course, or I'm trying to head to. Right. Because there's no way in hell, bro, that every single guru that's on social media telling you that, oh, they do this on a 7 days a week basis, that's all bullshit, bro. Right. Even some of my clients, like the top performing clients, bro, they're human beings. There's gonna be days where you don't want to wake up. There's gonna be days where you're not gonna want to deal with people. There's gonna be days where you're not going to want to work out in the mornings. There's gonna be days where you don't want to do a cold plunge. There's gonna be days where you forget to pray. There's gonna be days where you're not going to want to eat the chicken and broccoli. There's gonna be days where we're just people that are. Sometimes we are dictated by our emotions and our feelings. And as much discipline as we have, sometimes our bodies are overpowering over our minds. And now that's why I believe training your mind to be at a certain tier of energy or a certain tier of authority over your entire life, aka your body, is very, very important. Because your mind is supposed to be dictating how your body moves and how your body feels versus your body telling your mind how to move and how to feel, if that makes sense. Right. So although I am grateful, I know there's more for me to do. Now, on the no aspect, it's more of, I know that as I'm walking, it's almost like you're in the palm of God's hand. You're like a fucking atom in the palm of God's hand. And no matter where you go, God's still moving you forward. You can be running side to side, trying to like go in different multiple directions, but you're still in God's hand. So no matter which I'm not saying that if you go the wrong way, you're not going to be delayed. I do believe that you take the wrong route, you will be delayed. Your blessing will be delayed. But your blessing is still your blessing. What is yours is what is yours. No man, no evil entity can close the doors that God has opened for you, right? And whatever is not of God in your life, those doors will be closed at some point in your life. So no matter which direction you're running in your life, which route you're taking, you will be delayed, but you're still in the will of God. In the will of God. So God's still moving you in the direction that you're meant to be in. So although I fall in God's hand. Although I trip in God's hand. Although I'm depressed and sad and feeling like shit and I'm lazy as hell sometimes, I'm still in God's hand. So whenever I decide to get up, all I got to do is keep walking forward and explore what God has for me. Because at the end of the day, you're still going to be in God's hand and God's favor is still over your life. no matter what happens. That's why grace exists. God is still in your life, all around your life, and you're living in God's presence on a daily basis. God is all around us, inside of us, and in front of us and behind us. And no matter what it is that you do, I believe, and if I'm wrong, to all the theologians out there, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I do believe that there is nothing you can do that will ever pull you away from the grace that God has over your life. And that grace is what's going to carry you to the next dimension of your life, which will allow you to continually grow and grow and grow. Even though in your carnal small mind, we believe like, oh, I fucked up.
Yeah.
Oh, I just tripped. Oh, this and this and that. I'm never going to get there. When in reality, you might be a little delayed, but you're always going to get to where you need to get. So yes, because I need to do more, but no, because I know that at the end of the day, I'm still in God's hands. If that makes sense.
No, yeah, that definitely makes sense. I love the way you put it because it's like I said, it's a never-ending battle. Yeah. You know, it's a never-ending. You feel these moments where you're like, am I doing enough? Yeah. And then you talk yourself out of what you know what you have to do on a daily basis, but you talk yourself out of it because you know you might be mentally tired or fatigued or whatever. Yeah. But that analogy, the way that you put it, resonated with me because now it's like it's a different perspective, and I think that's why it's important for not only just podcasts but to connect with people, bro. Because you sparked a level of interest for me to be able to apply this to my life and how I can on a daily basis. Maybe I do feel tired, maybe I feel down because honestly, bro, if I don't go to the gym, I feel like shit. Yeah. Why? Because it's like fuck, dude, I didn't go today, right? Maybe I didn't wake up on a certain level of energy. I didn't make enough phone calls or I didn't do this. And I'm a very driven person based on whatever I'm doing on a daily basis, whether where it be work related and gym related. Like my energy levels, I guess, is dictated based upon how my day was the day before. So like when I wake up, I'm like, fuck, I had a bad day yesterday. But I try and be like, okay, I'm going to be more energetic today because I didn't do it right yesterday. Yeah. But it's a good perspective that you put it on so that way other individuals can have some grace on themselves because it's tough, you know, especially when you have a baby at home, bro. Like that's a whole nother motivator right there because you're like, damn, this is the reason why I'm doing this. And it helps drive you. And when the moments that you don't want to wake up, my baby girl is there to kind of push me. And having that faith factor as well will help you and drive to a different level. But
so let me ask you a question coming from man to man perspective. Yeah. You were speaking earlier. You made a point about you know, my wife was in the business with me, and now she's at home with the baby. Mm-hmm. And all I heard was, I'm the one taking care of everything right now. Mm-hmm. That's what I heard, right? Yeah. You didn't say that, but that's what I heard. Like, you're the one bringing in the bread, the cash. Yeah. How does it feel to be that in control of your life that you can tell your partner, like, hey, babe, I want you to stay at home. I want you to take care of the baby. I want you to raise the child because I don't trust anybody else or whatever the situation may be. But knowing that you are the one in control and you have that authority, that power, and to be able to provide and protect for the woman that you love and for the child that you guys both bared a couple months ago. How does it feel?
No, as a man? It does. Truthfully, as a man, it feels great to be able to be that level, certain level of a provider, and to be able to protect my family and to be able to say, wake up every single day and say, okay, you could stay home. And like you said, it's tough when you have a baby, bro. The hard part is like, okay, do you trust it with a daycare? Do you trust with anybody else outside of your mother's arms? Like, it's tough to be able to bring your kid and have someone else maybe bring forth another ideology that you don't believe in and raise your kid with that ideology, right? Or whatever it might be. When you have daycare, you can't really choose what they're teaching, right? Yeah. So I think that was something that we kind of discussed up front. And I think that her job's harder than mine. Yeah. And I say that with all respect because it's tough to stay home and be with a baby because babies don't talk, and it's really a different part of life that I don't know how as a woman to perceive life and how to actually, I guess, appreciate life, because sometimes when you're at home, you can get into a deep, dark place, right? You're at home all the time. You don't really go out. You have a baby. And so that's what drives me. Like, and I see how hard she works at home to cook, clean, take care of the baby, do those things, and that drives me too. So as a man, though, it does feel good to be like, you don't have to. Like, one of my goals in life is to not to have to work, to want to work, right? And that was the one thing that I want to teach my kids. And my girl at home is like, I want you one day, if you want to work, you can. You have the ability. You could do whatever you want. So when you choose your job, it's fulfilling. And I want my kids to feel the same thing. When you choose your job, you don't have to rush. When you choose your job, it is fulfilling, because my job for me is fulfilling. I feel fulfilled every single day I work. I love doing podcasts like this because it makes me feel more fulfilled. So same thing I would want for my kids and for my girl at home to be like, all right, I'm doing my job because this fulfills me on a daily basis, not because I need it financially. And I think, like you said, it's all about life's work. What is my life's work? And I think for me, I'm able to kind of, in my eyes right now, I'm able to give back to people, and also it benefits our family financially because we're able to sell and produce the dream of homeownership to all the other individuals who are using our services. But I think for me, that's the best part and perspective that I have, is that she's able to work and do what she wants whenever she wants, and there's no, like, I guess, time pressure for her or financial pressure to be able to do it.
What about all these new-aged men who speak about, nah, bro, like, Rodriguez, how are you gonna take on the entire load, and while your girl's at home taking care of the kid and not doing much? Like, don't you think, bro, that it should be 50-50, and you should be, both of you guys should be carrying the burden half and half? Like, what do you say to the people who have that new age belief system where they feel everything should be equal, where both people, man and woman, should have the same roles and share the roles of that space, versus stepping in and stepping up as a man and saying, okay, my girl, my future wife, just had a child. That's my child. So now, as a man, naturally, you step into the role of provide and protect. Because I guarantee you, you're walking down the street with your girl and your child, and someone comes at your child and your girl, a guy tries to rob them or something, that natural alpha male instinct's going to kick in, and you're going to make some moves. Right. And if shit hits the fan financially, and for some reason, you knock on wood and pray to God that never happens. For some reason, this career of yours goes to shit. You're going to figure out ways to generate income to make sure that your girl and make sure that your child eat and have a place to sleep and have a roof over their heads. Right. So naturally, as a man, you're doing your job.
Right.
I do believe in gender roles, and a lot of people are probably going to feel some way about that. Right. I believe that both genders are equal when it comes down to the level of respect. But as far as when it comes down to what men are supposed to do versus what women are supposed to do in life, I believe it's completely polar opposites.
Right.
Completely polar opposites. Right. I mean, unless you believe, and if you do, cool. Maybe we can talk about that. Right. But I believe, or I really doubt that you're the person who's going to say, you know what, babe, I've been at the office for like 12 hours, like the last couple of weeks, and I'm getting kind of tired. Like, can we switch? Can you go to the office and I stay home for a couple months and take care of my child? Like, can I stay home and fucking throw down and throw some, make some chicken, whatever the hell you guys cook, and then you come to the office and make these? I really doubt that's who you are as a man, because you're not wired that way. Naturally, you're wired to provide and protect. But there's a lot of guys out there, a lot of beta males, or like my friends call them beta bitches, that are in this world who say and really preach the idea of, no, bro, it's 50-50. Man and women should have the equal roles. Equal rights, 1,000%, but equal roles, and man shouldn't have to take on a heavier burden than a woman does. What are your thoughts on that? Being a father now.
No, I do 100% agree. Like, if I were to preach it to my daughter, I would preach it in that light. But I do think the main part is looking at the person's foundation and where their ideas stem from, right? So a guy who might say, okay, it should be 50-50, you don't know where his family came from and his background. Maybe in his eyes, that's the right life that they want to live. And I know that takes a specific woman to fulfill that role for him. Like, I think life is all about happiness, right? You want to have, and maybe there is a woman out there that's willing to take the shoulders on her back, the financial burden on her back, and let him stay home and do what he got to do.
Would you be cool with that?
Right? I wouldn't. I wouldn't. That's not how I was raised. I was raised in a household where my mom and dad was the best parents that I could have ever asked for. The foundation they created, they would give up anything for us to be successful. Anything. And I'm talking like every single thing they did was for us to grow and to be successful. They would work 9 to 5s, okay? Whether it be my mom or dad, they would take me they would drive Bolingbrook, Chicago, back to pick me up, to go drop me off at baseball, then go all the way back to Bolingbrook. Like, they would do that daily, every single day. And I had a great foundation. But I can't say that and speak for everybody that they had the same foundation I had. So that's why for me, I think that I would never live that life, because I want to show my daughter, like, you have to have somebody. Unfortunately, women have to give birth. That's the reality of the situation. So there's going to be a point in time where a woman's going to be out of commission for 6 months.
Yeah.
What are you going to do in that 6 months? That's what I would tell an individual like that. Like, there's going to be a point in time, if you have a wife, your wife is not going to be able to work. And now you got to hold it down for 6 months.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, that's the way that I would explain it to my daughters. Like, there is going to be a time where you have to hold down your household financially, emotionally. You have to be there in every aspect of your woman's life because they're going through a whole roller coaster of life. And you have to pick up the slack in every aspect of life. And you have to be okay with that. So the way that I explain it is my daughter, I would want her to find an individual, like you said, that has that level of mentality where they can hold it down in situations. But in our machista, like when you have that machista mindset, I don't think that that's the only way of living life and being a happy life. But I do think that I would want to apply those principles to my daughter. Because I honestly, bro, there's some people who live a happy life where their wife is at work every single day and they're just cooking and doing things that they want to do. They have that beta mentality, and that's fine. They could live that life. Maybe they're happy doing that. I wouldn't apply that to I wouldn't want my daughter to live that life, though. You know, that's just per me now.
Let me ask you a question that might get your show canceled. You ready?
All right, go ahead. Let's go.
So you don't think that men can give birth?
Hell no, dude.
you don't think men can give birth?
No.
All right.
If you're either a man or you're.
All right, we can keep the show going.
No.
All right, I'm about to walk out of your studio, bro.
All right. Well, the last thing that I want to ask you, bro. Obviously, I think that when you're surrounded by the individuals, you have a great network right now, bro.
Mm-hmm.
What piece of advice, based on the network that you have developed over the last year, just over the last year, bro? You know, obviously you've grown and you've met a lot of different individuals from network and stuff. What do you think the best piece of advice that you've learned over the last year that you can apply to everybody that's watching the show?
No one is going to show up for you. You have to consistently show up for yourself. Playing the victim is only going to help you attract other victims in your circle. I would rather be a bottom feeder in the top 1% versus a top performer in the bottom percentages. Because, bro, when you're a bottom feeder at the top 1%, whether you believe it or not, you're still moving up with them. And then when you decide to go back down to that bottom, to the bottom, to the actual bottom feeders, automatically you're really like, holy shit, I've actually grown a lot. I'm doing a lot better than where I was. A lot of these things that these people do isn't as attractive as it used to be.
Right.
So you want to plug back into that. So be a bottom feeder at the top 1%. You will learn a lot. Don't be the victim in your life. No one's going to show up for you. The best way to approach your life as a man and or woman, but for men, specifically for men, because right now I feel like this conversation got driven more towards helping men become better men, is complete 1,000% ownership of your entire freaking life. Every single action in life has a consequence, whether it's a positive or negative consequence. Every single action has a consequence. You are the one who determines the outcome of every situation that you are in, whether it's relationship, whether it's financial, whether it's career, job, skill, wherever you end up living. You are the one who dictates that. Find clarity. Figure out the vision of your life. Find the clarity that you need on what that is. Find the direction. And then execute on actionable steps in order to attain it. But above all things, seek God first. From there, you will gain the vision, the clarity, the direction, and then the actionable steps to be able to attain the milestone that you're trying to attain. Above all things, man. And if you're young, and if you're trying to figure out, do I get a girlfriend first or do I make money first? Make money first. Make money first. Because respectfully, to all the ladies, y'all expensive as hell. Like you notice that now when you go out to eat, it's no longer at the basic Wendy's drive-thru.
No.
It's no longer a grilled chicken sandwich. Now you're going to actual restaurants.
Uh-huh.
You know, now you're actually wasting more gas. So respectfully, focus on making your money first. The right woman is going to walk into your life when you least expect it. Chase God, chase purpose, and the right woman will come after you while you're chasing your purpose in life, and you will never lose that woman's respect. But when you have no sense of direction and no sense of purpose, you're going to start attracting the wrong woman into your life who will just use you and abuse you, and both of you guys will be in a very confused situation.
I love that,
Yeah,
bro.
man.
I appreciate that, man. And again, I appreciate all the wise words that you guys have given forth to everybody. Everybody that's watching, please take out your notepad. Make sure you got everything written down, because he dropped some great tips and overall life tips. And I think it's super important to connect with individuals like Milton. and just expand your network in order for you to be successful in literally any industry that you're in. I mean, the field that you were in, you were a trainer, and now he is able to connect with high-level individuals simply because he expanded on his network and he continued to grow on that level. And mentally, when you surround yourself with those types of individuals, you're just eventually going to grow. So again, I really do appreciate your time today, bro. I appreciate it. Hope everyone else has enjoyed this. If you have not, make sure to get your cafecito. Please make sure to like, subscribe, turn on the post notifications. And again, thank you so much, bro. I appreciate it, man.